Hey team, today we're going to be looking at polynomial division, so let's get into it. Whoa, hold up. Before we can do polynomial division, you need to remember how to do long division first. Now I'm betting that for a lot of you, you probably haven't done this for a better part of half a decade. So we're going to go through it. Now if you're really confident that you know exactly what you're doing with long division, maybe you can skip ahead. But if not, I highly recommend stay with me on this one and run through the review. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's start with a basic example. We're going to do 405 divided by 7. Now, using your long division, we're going to go through the procedure here so that you understand what we're doing when we actually do the polynomial division, because we're going to do exactly the same thing. The first thing we do is write 405 and underneath our division sign and 7. Now we say, how many times does 7 go into 4? Well, it doesn't go into 4 anytime, so we won't write anything there. You could write a 0 if you want to, but we don't write anything generally. How many times does 7 go into 40? Right, well, we know the answer to that. 7 goes into 45 times. Then we multiply the 5 by the 7. I'm just going to write it over here and write the answer underneath. So 35. Then we take one from the other. So we'll put a subtraction sign here and we go 40, take 35, and that will give us 5. The next part is bringing this next number down. So we bring the 5 down and write it down here. And now we say to ourselves, how many times does 7 go into 55? Well, the answer is 7. Goes in 7 times. 7 times 7, down here. You don't have to write it down here. I just do it so you can see what's going on. 7 times 7 is 49. And then again, we take them away from each other, and that'll give us 6. So then we get a remainder of 6. Now, when we have a remainder, it actually means this. I'm sure you remember. This means 57 plus 6/7, because the remainder we divide by this number here. Now, some of the terminology is fairly important, so I'm going to go through that quickly. The number that we're dividing, the big number, is called the dividend. The number that we're going to divide it by is called the divisor. What we actually work out, this 57 here, is called the quotient. You might not have come across that one before. And whatever is remaining is called the remainder. So we're going to use those terms in the next section. If I had a polynomial like this and I wanted to divide this one by this one, we can write it in two forms. This is the first form. And this is where we've got the number and we've got the remainder on the end. And this is another form. This is more of a factorized form. So the first form is when we have the dividend divided by the divisor. We can say the answer is this one, is going to be the quotient, and we have the remainder divided by the divisor, exactly like what we did in the previous example. When we have it in more of a factorized form, we're actually factorizing out this x take 2. Often we're asked to just pull out a factor from this and write the equivalent equation. So what we're doing is we're pulling out this x take 2, we're factorizing that. So that's our divisor out the front, and we multiply it by our quotient here, and then our remainder goes on the end. So these are the two kind of forms that you will probably encounter during your studies. All right, enough of the preamble. Let's get into how to actually do polynomial division now. So we write it exactly like we would for normal division. So we write our dividend down the bottom here. We write our divisor on the left and we put our divide sign here. First step, we ignore the take 2. We're just looking at this x now. We just want to know what number do I need to multiply this by to end up with this term. So x, if we multiply that by x squared, we would get x cubed. That's what we want. So I'm going to write that x squared on the top here. That forms part of my answer. Just like in our previous example, we have x squared and we multiply that by the x take 2. I'm just going to write it down here. Again, you don't have to, but I like to. It makes less mistakes for me, and so I can see what I'm doing. Now I need to multiply those two together and write it under here. So x squared times x, that's x cubed. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. And if you remember, what we need to do is take these away from each other. Now, rather than just writing a single subtraction sign here, I put it in a circle. Why is that? I put it in a circle because that tells me it's an operator for the entire polynomial here. If I just wrote a negative here, it looks like the negative just belongs to the x cubed. So I always put it in a circle, and I recommend that you do as well. Okay, let's go. So we take these two from each other. X cubed, take x cubed is 0. So I'm not going to write anything here because it's just 0. 2x squared, take negative 2x squared. That's going to be plus 2x squared, isn't it? Because the negative and the negative become a positive. 2x squared plus 2x squared makes 4x squared. Now, same as long division, we bring down the next term. So let's bring that down. It's negative x. All right, we start again. What do I need to multiply this x by to get to 4x squared? Well, I need to multiply it by 4x, don't I? So 4x times x would equal 4x squared. Perfect. So I'm going to write those two numbers here, 4x and x take 2. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. And the operation is subtract. So I'm going to subtract these from each other. Okay, 4x squared take 4x squared is 0. Negative x take negative 8x is the same as x plus 8x, which is positive 7x. What's next? We bring that number down. So let's bring that 3 down here. Once again, what do I need to multiply this x by to get to 7x? I need to multiply it by 7. So write my 7 up here. And then 7 times x take 2. That's what I'm going to write in here. So 7x and negative 14. And we need to subtract them from each other. 7x take 7x is 0. 3 take negative 14 is positive 17. Once we get to this number here, if it's a constant, that's our remainder. So we can write it here, remainder 17. So our answer is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 7 with a remainder of 17. So for a proper answer involving your fractions, rather than having a remainder, we would write that would equal the quotient, which is x squared plus 4x plus 7, this bit here, plus the remainder. We need to divide that by the dividend as well. So 17 over x take 2. Remember this bit here. Now, if we were to write it in that factored form, or just pulling it out as a factor, we would write the divisor at the front, x take 2, multiplied by the quotient, x squared plus 4x plus 7, and then we would just tack the remainder on the end. So divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. Well, that was easy, huh? Now, what happens if you're missing a term in your polynomial? Let's find out. This one, I've got 4x cubed plus 3x take 7 over x take 1. Something you need to be aware of when you do polynomial division is you need to have all of the powers of x in here. Notice this one says x cubed, then this one is x to the power of 1, this one's actually x to the power of 0. We have no x squared in there, and you need it. We're going to change this expression to 4x cubed plus 0x squared plus 3x take 7. So now I've got x to the power of 3, x squared, x to the power of 1, and my constant. And I'm going to use this one to do my polynomial division. So we do exactly the same process. I'm going to go a little bit faster in this example. Multiply something by x to get 4x cubed. So I need to multiply that by 4x squared. So this one times this one. 4x squared times x is 4x cubed. 4x squared times negative 1 is negative 4x squared. We need to take them away from each other. So I put my operator there. All right. This one and this one cancel out. That's a 0. 0x squared take negative 4x squared gives us a positive 4x squared. We bring down the next term. What do I need to multiply my x by to get 4x squared? I need to multiply it by 4x. So 4x times x take 1, that's what I'm going to write here. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. We're going to take them away from each other. 4x squared take 4x squared is 0. 3x take negative 4x is 3x plus 4x, so that's 7x. Bring down my negative 7. What do I need to multiply my x to get 7x? I need to multiply it by 7, so I'll write my 7 up here. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. That looks pretty good, and we're going to take them away from each other. So 7x take 7x is 0. 7 take 7 is 0. Great, we've got no remainder, which of course means this x take 1 is a full factor of this expression up here. Cool. All right, so that's our answer. So we can write our answer like this. If I had 4x cubed plus 3x take 7 divided by x take 1, the answer would be 4x squared plus 4x plus 7. Or if I was dividing by x take 1 so that I could factorize it out, I would write it like this. The 4x cubed plus 3x take 7, it could also be written as x take 1 times the quotient, which is 4x squared plus 4x plus 7. And then often we would factorize this again so that we get more factors so we can use the null factor law. But that's another topic. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it helped you out. If it did, hit the like button so that I know you're watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, with great power comes greater difficulty when factorizing the polynomial. What did the cubic function say to the second order polynomial? Nice quads. Why did the polynomial tree fall over? Because it didn't have any real roots.